The following podcast is an enticing media production.
Where the Nell have you been? Join us for conversation about life, business, and everything in between. Welcome to What the Nell, where we've got stories to tell. Here's your host, Nell Tice.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of the What the Nell podcast, the EcoPreneur's Edge edition with Mikee Bentz. Mikee, welcome back to the episodes.
Thank you so much for having me. This is fast becoming one of my favorite things to do. So I'm honored to be here, and I'm excited to talk about whatever we're talking about today.
Oh, yeah. We've got a whole list of topics to talk about, but today we are talking about business sustainability. And this is a really, really important topic, if not maybe the most important, because if you're not sustainable in your business, where else are you not sustainable? So, but first, let's talk about what exactly is business sustainability.
Oh, that is great. Thanks, Nell, for having me. For those who don't know me, I'm Mikee with two E's. I'm also known as Metro Mikee, and the two E's in my name stand for the environment and everyone, which makes me exactly qualified to talk on the EcoPreneur's Edge. But with that said, I am very familiar with business because I have been in a professional industry for 14 years, the beauty industry. I have owned a salon in the beauty industry for 11 years, and I also opened a service-based dance studio that creates art sustainably. And that turns 3 in November of 2024. So,
oh my gosh, congratulations.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But with that said, I was always told in the very beginning parts of my career that most small businesses tend to fail. Up to 50% fail in the first year. And then I did some digging. And the other 40% usually end up failing in year 2 to 5. So only 10% of small businesses make it to be a 5-year company or longer. So luckily, my salon is 11 years old, so that one's past the hump. And
Yay.
My dance studio was going strong. It had a break-even point its first year and became profitable in its second year.
Amazing.
So those, KPIs when it comes to the accounting side of business are going strong. So I just need to make it past that 5-year mark for my dance studio, and then that one will be past the hump too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So while I have been building these businesses, I have seen a lot of people come, I have seen a lot of people be successful, and I have seen a lot more people just kind of throw in the towel and realize that maybe this isn't the life for them, not because they weren't cut out for it, but because I don't think that they had the tools that you and I are going to be sharing over this series now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people who talk about a work-life balance, but I believe that we're going to talk about things in this episode that are a little bit more than just work in life, and that's what really helps make a sustainable business. And hopefully that sustainable business has a lot of eco-friendly practices to protect the environment, so it can be a double sustainable business.
Yes.
But today we really want to focus on the tools that are going to help, our central Pennsylvania business owners, and hopefully business owners beyond, create this sustainable habit or rituals or routines that will then propel their business career farther than they ever dreamed.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth there, and I was going to ask, what do you think it is that causes so many small businesses to not succeed? And I think you're absolutely right, not thinking that you have the tools or that the tools aren't available to you is a large part of the process in the failure. And I hate to use the word failure because it's not failure to me. To me, failure exists, but not in the way that we dictate failure in our society. And I think there's always lessons in the failures. And but what are some of the other parts of businesses not succeeding that you think, what are some of the other parts that are played in the role of not, being able to succeed?
Oh, I'm so excited to share this. I'm going to touch a little bit on the failure before because I love failure, and I have learned more from my failures than just about anything else in my life. So, my beauty industry friends and I, we always say we're failing forward.
Oh, that's so good.
Instead of falling down, we're failing forward. Because those failures, I know that in today's society, it can be so scary. And I even had, at one point, a deep-seated fear of failure. I had perfectionism that resulted from that in my own, psyche. And so now I can, understanding that I can learn from my failures and be my own true authentic self while knowing that that is also going to help me grow as a person and grow as a business owner and business leader. So I would love to reframe failure as a positive thing. If there's one thing we can leave with today, it's fail forward. It is not the end of anything. A little bit of perspective. I have failed, a handful of times, tens of times, hundreds of times. I'm not exactly sure, but every time I've failed, I have gotten through it. So I have a 100% success rate when it comes to overcoming failure. I believe most other people who are here also have 100% success rate at overcoming failure. So the pattern here is if I fail, I will succeed. So super powerful. That's my little gift today. But when I first started talking about this, it was actually, this is coming up a lot in my life lately. It was on Clubhouse. And I was one of the first few people to get an invite when it was iPhone only.
Oh my gosh.
One of my clients is a realtor, and she was like, Mikey, I have to invite you to this platform. I was like, oh, whatever. It took me, I got the invite 20 days later was the first time I actually signed in or logged in. And then I was like, whoa, this is cool. And it's kind of where my love for public speaking came from. And I hosted a room called Stylist Self-Care Sundays. It was Sunday morning before I opened my salon. And I would kind of talk about what we were doing to facilitate. And here's the 4 tools that were the easiest ones for me to break down my sustainable life style, my business style. And that was mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional. Those were kind of the 4 things that encompassed all the other things. I have since learned that there are other tools that, other categories of tools that we can utilize, but those were the first 4 that I really started focusing. If my physical health is good, if I'm taking care of my body, if I am, practicing good hygiene, if I'm getting my wellness checks, from my doctor, if I'm doing follow-up appointments, if I need that, if I'm exercising a little bit here and there, if I'm getting my steps in, if I'm drinking my water, I'm a gardener, so I was trying to eat my vegetables, but if I was buying my vegetables, were they being bought clean, natural, organic, sustainable? So it was this physical health umbrella was just the easiest way for me to share that taking care of our physical health is just one of the facets of our life that will then make our business run smoother. Then there was our mental health. Are we reading for fun? Are we doing Sudoku puzzles? Are we, putting the screen down occasionally? Do we have a therapist or a life coach or a business coach or a mentor or a psychiatrist? All of those people are literally trained to work in our brain. I tell people all the time as a hairdresser, I work on your head, not in your head. How is your therapist doing? Or what would your therapist say about that situation you just presented to me? And they will say, oh, Mikey, you're my therapist. And I will say, I work on your head, not in your head. Go see the professional. So we have our physical health, our mental health, and then it's easier for me to talk about spiritual health, and I know that can be a trigger word for so many people, but spiritual health can be own identity. It is between you and your divine. Whatever that looks like, that is something we should be cultivating and nurturing inside ourselves to foster that connection between us and whatever gives us purpose, whatever gives us meaning, whatever makes our beliefs. We need to foster that connection. And then for me personally, I always speak about this one of the four last, because it was so hard for me, is the emotional health. And I literally, and I'm going to share a tool that I used. I spent a lot of my young adult life. I mean, when we're kids, we're crazy. You know, we're kids. We don't know any better.
Exactly.
But when I got into my adult life, it then became my responsibility to identify and then manage my own emotions. And I got into some very weird situations and relationships and places in life and business because I was not emotionally prepared to deal with the things that I had gotten myself into, we'll say.
Yeah.
So with a lot of failing forward, with a lot of growth in my personality, and with a really good therapist who I keep on speed dial.
Yes.
I really learned that I needed to work on my emotional health. So for an entire year, I have the journal. Actually, I have a pile of journals. Since since I was 12 or 11, I've been journaling. So I literally have old journals, and now I journal in different ways. I have the journal app. But specifically about the emotional health, I journaled for a year straight, 365 days, just about every day. On the first 6 months, identifying what I was feeling, because I had no clue. I was so out of touch with my emotions as a young adult. My prompt every day was, Mikee, what are you feeling? And I would answer that. So I became, over 6 months, very aware of what I was feeling. I even printed out one of those things that you see, in elementary schools with the page of all the emotions. Happy, joy, sadness, sorrow, exhaustion, depressed. Like, I would literally identify, using that tool, what I was feeling. And then the second 6 months, once I could be like, what are you feeling? Oh, I'm feeling nervous. What are you feeling? Oh, I'm feeling anxiety. What are you feeling? Joy. What are you feeling? A runner's high. Whatever I was feeling. Then my second 6 months, what are you feeling? And why are you feeling that way? So I became very self-aware of what triggers me into an emotionally reactive state.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Now I'm great at that. Like, I can almost immediately identify exactly what I'm feeling. Unless it's like a new situation that I'm not super familiar with. Then I pause, I process my emotions, and then I go forward. So those are my 4 tools that helped me create a sustainable business in my life. And using all of those tools makes it so easy to have conversations, even hard ones, in my salon and dance studio. It makes it very easy for me to foster and maintain professional networks. It makes me, very happy and motivated to take my self-care at home when I'm not at work. So those are my 4 tools. What do you think about that, Nell? I know that was a lot.
I mean, it's a lot, but it's amazing. I mean, it's a lot of amazing opportunities to work on yourself to be better in your life and your business for the people around you. I love that. And I wanted to, the journaling, and it's funny because I just came across my diary from when I was a kid, and I kept that diary from the time where I felt like, I guess I needed to vent. And I didn't feel like I could vent to anyone in my life. So I vented to the pen and paper in front of me. And I kept that journal for years. And I looked back at it the other day and I went, wow, I started laughing and thinking, oh my gosh, your problems were so simple, so small, and to be a kid again, and all the things. But here's the thing. At that time, they were so incredibly important to me. And rather than laughing at it, I thought, you know what? Maybe you should start doing this again. Because it really is a form of your own therapy and helps you. Did you find that it helped controlled reactions to situations that you were experiencing?
Oh, yes, it can help me with that. However, I feel like I was a very stoic individual. So I actually journaled to bring my emotions to the surface because I would do that non-healthy, very toxic behavior, typically common in a lot of Libras and, astrology, say what you will, pseudoscience, it's not my divine, but there are a lot of things in it that, enhance my spirituality. And Libras love to bottle everything up until it gets to an exploding point, and then we burn a bridge that can never be rebuilt. So I had to figure out what I was feeling. That way I could process my own emotions because I would and later, now I know that emotional reactions and responses don't usually fit well in a business environment.
Nope.
So
absolutely.
I feel like I have a superpower that I'm emotionally intelligent, but also emotionally in control.
Oh, I love
So for me, it was more so like I didn't feel anything. I had like numbed my emotions as an adult because I didn't have the right tools to foster positive emotions. So I was just emotionless. So I didn't have that, I always create reactions or outbursts. I had like, I need to get better at emotions because it's going to make me better at business.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so true, and that really is amazing. And when you touched on the spiritual side of things, and like spoke, I guess when we're referring to the wheel of life, the spoke on that wheel. The spiritual side, it's interesting because just recently too, and I feel like we're so aligned, and I do believe in astrology. So I don't know, I have to look up like how well Libras and Sagittarius, because I am the fiery Sagittarius sign, how well and what areas they get along best in. That's for another episode. But recently I had a shamanic yoga experience, and it was life-changing. I mean, my gosh. Okay, so I have never done shamanic yoga before, but if you're unfamiliar with it, it's basically, yoga is a spiritual practice anyway, but this is like extra spiritual. And there's music, there's drumming, there's opportunity for you to become in touch with something higher than your higher power, or your divine, as you would put it. And when we were talking about some things in the class before we went into our very long Savasana and reflection period, I have always personally struggled with a divine. Now, I do believe in God, but I don't believe that God is the only divine. And I love that you mentioned that your divine is your own, because what my question to myself was when we first started the practice was, why don't you have a specific divine, and who is that divine, and where can I get all of my questions answered? Where can I go to? And in that practice, you're seeing different colors, you're seeing all types of things, kind of like meditation. And then finally my answers came to me. And the answer was, you are your divine. You have all of your answers. And that's when, I started to be able to let go and sort of trust myself and understand that I have the ability to answer the questions that I need answered. And, that's part of also then why I was like, oh, the diary, the journal. So maybe this is how I answer my questions. And, the whole process. But understanding these parts of yourself is uber important in business. Because if you're not understanding that, you're right. Emotional reactions don't mix well with business.
And the wheel of life that you mentioned is just the easiest thing. I started off with those 4 topics, way back in the day. And since then have learned that while I can make those balanced and healthy, there were other parts of my business that also weren't sustainable. So, there's a couple different, and anyone can look this up. You just Google Wheel of Life, a bunch of website results. I'm sure you'll get that little AI hit at the top saying that this is what the Wheel of Life is, from Google Gemini or whatever, and then you'll have your websites. I always click on images, and then I just find the image that is the most simple, most minimalistic, because there will be a whole host of things, and it's a hard topic, so I just pick the one that's the most simple, and that one usually has 7 or 8 facets. There's your mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. Then there's your career, which is how we are sustaining our professional space. If we work in an office, we have to do our job duties, but we have to coexist in that space as well. So emotional outbursts are not going to do well. So we have to manage our career health. We have to manage our financial health. We have to manage our relationship health, whether that is cohabitating with a roommate, whether that is a spouse or parents that we're living with or children that we're living with. So that those are our relationships. And then we have our social health. So 8 is usually what I find fits everything. Some Wheels of Life only show 7. Mental, spiritual, emotional, physical, career, financial, relationships, and social. And your social health is going to be what you do on the weekends when you're not at work. Are you going to a concert? Are you, taking a yoga class with your girlfriends? Are you coming to pole dance class and flying through the air so that you can go to competition and win medals? Those are going to be your social health. So that is the best tool that I have been able to coach to help my fellow beauty industry professionals or people who, seek out my life coaching services. And a lot of people, actually, myself included, everyone that I've started on this path of the Wheel of Life has not had most of those in balance, if any in balance. So
You don't say.
I'm let's start from the very beginning.
Yes.
It's a very good place to start.
Yes, very good place to start. I mean, I'm confident enough to say that if you don't have all of those things in balance, that will absolutely lead to burnout in your business. Would you agree?
Yes, although something that I had to accept, and to me, there are very few facts, because a fact can only be a fact if it's tested to infinity and still proven correctly. So everything that we're going on is just our best working theory. No matter how deeply our beliefs are held, they're just our best. The sky is blue. Well, one day it might not be. And then it will have been blue once, but it will not be blue at that time. So our best working theory is that we want to balance the things on the Wheel of Life. However, I have noticed if I want to focus on the one thing, which is an amazing book I recommend, and I keep it here to remind me what I'm focusing on. If we want to focus on the one thing that we want our goal to be currently, that thing is going to get better. When that thing gets better, it's going to detract from all the other things. So if I want my career to be successful, my home life is going to suffer. If I want my home life to be great, my career is going to suffer. So we always have to be very mindful of what we're focusing on, because that will grow. I, believe in the law of attraction and manifesting. If I'm focusing something, it's going to get better. But everything else that I can't focus on 100% is going to not get better.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that maybe because this is how I feel I am with this particular subject, I'm in denial about the fact that other areas of my life will suffer. We get so excited about what we're focusing on right now. Let's just say, for instance, this series is my main focus. Then it's inevitable that something else in my life or career will suffer just because of that sheer intent and focus on that one area. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the wheel of life.
Well, and I will recall back to our first episode if you haven't listened to it. I was talking about superhero culture, and my two superpowers are self-awareness and accountability. So I am self-aware if I'm focusing on my career. My spouse might not be the happiest person with me. And I am accountable to keep going because the careers I'm setting in my, or the goals I'm setting in my career is going to help us have an amazing home life once we get towards retirement age.
Yes. And this is why, and this is also another subject for another episode, this is why your circle of people in your life is so incredibly important.
Absolutely. This is so much fun. I hope everyone goes and looks up the Wheel of Life and reach out to me and reach out to Nell. We're all these resources, we are going to be here to help coach you through them. Definitely a great way to get our attention is leaving a review with your question in it, because we're going to be looking at all of those. So I'm so excited to expound on this more and see how it ties into all of our future topics.
Absolutely. Everything Mikee just said, I choose D, all of the above. So thank you so much. I think this is a great way to round out the episode. And I want to thank you, Mikee, for, of course, being here and providing all of this incredible value to our listeners and viewers. And thank you to all of you out there listening. Of course, connect with Mikee on social media and check out Metro Mikee. Metropolis in Harrisburg for all of your aerial arts inquiries and needs, and Mikee, your salon as well in Harrisburg. So please reach out to both of us. Like Mikee said, leave us a review, subscribe on YouTube to the What the Nell podcast. And as a reminder, you are listening to the EcoPreneur's Edge series with Mikee Bentz. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And as always, I will catch you on the next one.
To learn more about how to tell your story, connect with Nell at enticingmedia.com. That's ENTICEING media.com. Thanks for listening to the What the Nell podcast.